Hey there, welcome back to our little homesteading channel here. My name is Chrissy and today I'm doing something quite different. I am in my lounge room and I am going to share with you a pile of books, really, just a bunch of resources that I have found really useful. And this topic came up in a live I did yesterday where I had a couple of questions about my favorite homesteading books and things that I like to refer to. And I thought, that's a good idea. Now, I have done a while ago, actually, it's funny to look back at it now. The very first video I ever did was a collaboration I did a little video of, I guess, similar idea of resources I used. I didn't have all of these books. I just picked my top 10, I think. If I remember, I'll have to look back. I'll try and remember to put the link for it in the description because it was the first video I ever did. Jess from Roots and Refuge was doing a collaboration asking for people to contribute videos with their favorite resources as a means of sort of combating the whole lack of trustworthy information. Or it's not that there's a lack of information that's trustworthy. There's a lot of really good info out there. The problem is with the onset of AI, it has become increasingly difficult to navigate and know what to trust and what not to trust. And so that is a really good resource in and of itself. If you go back to her channel, you will find the playlist for I can't remember what she called it. I should have looked that up, shouldn't I? I should have done that. But it's basically a collaboration she did. Now, this would have been in 2023 because that's, I think, when I started. Anyway, I'll put a link to my video, which is part of the playlist that she did, in the description below. All that to say, the question I got yesterday was regarding resources I trust and use and would recommend. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today. I think the first one I have to mention is, it's kind of, I've got really, okay, there's two categories that I'm going to go through and show you. The first category is in the kitchen. So cookbooks and mainly cookbooks, but also I will include in that a few classes I've done and because they came with a lot of resources that, yes, I would definitely consider those to be really important. The second stack is more overall homesteading and more outside in the garden and management of animals and gardens and systems and how to sort of pull it all together to one cohesive little homestead. So I'll show you those as well. But the first book that we were given is really a homesteading book that kind of opened the door for us. I will say, I think really my journey in homesteading started in the kitchen because it started many, many years ago when I gave birth to my first son, Isaiah, who is now, I cannot believe this year he will be 21, but he will be 21 this year. And as soon as you mums know this, as soon as you have that little baby in your arms, actually it was before then for me, and I think for many of us, when he's coming into the world and you are going to be responsible for everything there is to do with this child, it just changes everything. It changes everything, the way you see things and the way you make decisions. And all of a sudden I was interested in things and wanted to make good choices for him, I guess. So the first book though that I'm going to show you is this little one by Joel Salatin, who probably everyone knows and has heard of. Folks, this ain't normal. So our friend Luke gave us this book, and we my husband and I read it aloud together, And we had been, I've spoken about Luke before. He has this amazing garden on the Sunshine Coast hinterland in behind Noosa. Beautiful garden, gorgeous. And I just remember spending many days in the garden with him and Mike and the kids running around, and his beautiful wife Camille, and we just learnt so much from him about the garden and about how he was growing food using all these permaculture principles and syntropic farming, and we learnt so much from him. And it was really inspirational to see what he was able to achieve on a really small, I don't know, 1 or 2 acres. He didn't have a whole ton of land, but he did a heap. And he handed us this book, and we had lots of conversations around it. But reading it, we had already begun our health journey, and many years before, really, like I said, with the advent of children, and searching and looking for answers for them and their health. But when I read this book, when we read it aloud, it was just like, oh, of course. Like, of course, this isn't normal. Like, it was very validating to all the questions we had and all of the searching we'd been doing. But it really just, I guess, set the framework. I really love this book. I highly recommend it if you haven't read it. It's also a really funny book. Very well, I found it funny, easy to read, and really interesting. Okay, so where will I start? Okay, so here's my little stack. And I will say, I want to preface this right at the beginning. I did not start off with all these books, and you by no means have to have a big library of resources and books to be able to begin. Honestly, when we started, I just had whatever I had already in the kitchen, and I just started looking. I got a lot of things online to begin with, but there is something really helpful, I think, and good about having the printed word when you can get a hold of it. Okay, I'm going to try and go through this at a reasonable pace. Otherwise, we will be here forever. I can be a chatterbox, my husband tells me. All right, I want to start with, now I'm going to start with this, but this is not something you can probably go out and get. And the reason I'm going to show you anyway is I think a lot of times some of the best things we can find as far as resources are not necessarily brand new. This is a really old falling apart recipe book that was my mum's. The cover is missing, and it has loose leaves in it, and some of them are from another recipe book, and I'm not even sure of the date of publication. I think it may have been in the 70s. The original book was published in 1937, but I saw something on one of the loose leaves, and I don't know if it came out of this book because there's just been a bit of a muddle up of a couple of different recipe books that have ended up together. But this book does refer a lot to cooking over an open flame or over with a fire, like a slow combustion stove. So I think it might be older than the 70s based on that. But anyway, I'm not entirely sure because it really is like falling apart. But there are so many really helpful recipes and even just concepts and ideas in really old books that if you are a person like me who is looking to reclaim the traditional skills in the kitchen, cooking, food preparation, ways of healing our bodies with food and with natural remedies, and going back to the knowledge that our grandmothers and great-grandmothers had that we have somehow lost, old books can be really, really helpful. So even though I can't give you the exact details of this book because it's so old, I'll give you a couple of examples. So it has a section in here on poultry and game. And it talks right at the top to choose your poultry. When young, the feet will be pliable, the tip of the breastbone soft. They will be plump in appearance and the skin moist and smooth. Poultry is better dry plucked as scalding impairs the flavor. So right there you can see this was written in a day when it was really normal for whoever was cooking to go out the back and get a bird out of the flock for dinner. So then the next section is to truss a fowl for roasting. Pluck it while hot. If the fowl is allowed to get cold, it will have to be scalded before plucking. So, you know, just like little, like even that one sentence. Oh, so you don't have to scald it before you pluck. If you pluck immediately, maybe they didn't do that back then. You know, the next section is to truss a fowl for boiling, and then it has a different set of instructions. How to bone a fowl. And then there's another one further on I saw about how to do a goose. Yeah, anyway, there's just a lot of really information you would never find in a modern cookbook. Then there's another section in here called invalid cookery. And it says, in catering for the sick, use none but the freshest materials and use good non-chipping enamel or earthenware utensils. And then it's got a whole section on preparation of the food. And then when you look at what they are recommending, beef tea, quickly made, ingredients. This is where I need my glasses. Oh my goodness. A half-pound lean juicy meat, beef, a few drops of claret or lemon juice, water, half a pint, salt and pepper. So this is making beef tea or like a beef stock. And then there's a second recipe underneath it, raw beef tea. These are the things they recommended for people who were sick. Mutton broth. For those of you who don't know, mutton is sheep. It's lamb but it's older. It's older than a lamb. Chicken broth, calf's foot jelly. Now, we know in the Crunchy Mum movement that, you know, gelatinous broth is all the rage as far as its health benefits, but it's as old as the hills. People knew that they would make jelly with calf's feet because they were very gelatinous. 2 calf's feet, 5 pints of water. Blanch feet, cut in pieces, boil in water 5 or 6 hours. Strain off and use for jelly, adding lemon and wine, etc. as desired. So I found this fascinating, and you go on through and there's soup recipes, fish, barley, a pick-me-up for an invalid. Take a whole chicken. I'm just picking a random thing or two out of here. Take a whole chicken and cut it up into convenient joints. Put these parts into a basin or billy. Do you know what a billy is? A billy is this is an Aussie cookbook in case you didn't notice. A billy is for boiling water and making tea, and you'd boil it, put it over a fire. And the new fancy ones have spouts and everything. My dad used to make them out of old golden circle fruit tins that were like this big, and he'd put a handle on it made out of a scrap of wire, and he'd use that out on a campsite. But you can, of course, get fancy ones as well. Anyway, I just totally distracted myself with the billy. Put these parts into a basin or billy with a tumbler full of brandy. Fasten down to make it airtight and put it into a saucepan of water, which must be allowed to simmer for 5 hours. Strain the essence carefully and allow it to cool. It will become a firm jelly, again the jelly, of which a dessert spoonful may be given at frequent intervals as a pick-me-up for an invalid. They used to know how to do these things. Milk jelly. That's interesting, isn't it? Actually, I think I found a recipe for milk jelly that my mum had written out on a 3x5 card and tucked into with some other recipes the other day. And I was thinking, milk jelly. I don't remember having that. A half pint of milk, gelatine, scant cup of hot water, a teaspoon of sugar, and a small piece of thinly peeled lemon rind. What else? Custards, beef jelly, and then a series of hints and tips at the end on how to do things. So this is what, information that I would love to be able to sit down with my granny and ask her a bunch of questions, but I can't do that. But if we can find old books like this, and you have to hunt, and they're not necessarily easy to find, but when you find them, look, old bookstores, I was blessed to be given this from my mum, but they are around. It also has in here instructions on how to tan a sheepskin, first aid treatment for poisons, treatment for shock, to ease aching feet, a cure for the cough, for insect stings, a natural laxative, and it goes on and on and on. Like, it goes on and on. So anyway, all that to say, I love this book, and I think that my encouragement to you is go hunting for old recipe books, because they might just be a little gold mine of information. Okay, quickly moving along. As far as some of these are more recent acquisitions, and some I have had forever. Like that one I just showed you, I've had forever. Well, not quite forever, but a long time. This home ground flour book is awesome. A really good reference. It has so many different recipes for breads, quick breads, as all the way through any type of bread you really could imagine. She's got it in here, as well as muffins and cookies and different things. And it's all whole food ingredients, which is what we want. This is a book I have had for a very long time, Quirky Cooking, she is an Australian author. Actually, we knew her family, but with an American connection, would you believe? Her dad is an American missionary. But this book, because I've shared on here before that I had a long time where I had to be dairy free, and that's what Jo's books and recipes all were. She's got a fairly big presence on social media and online. If you want to look her up, you can look up Quirky Cooking. But she has a lot of really good recipes in here that I have used for years and years and years. And I was looking through this again the other day thinking, because you know how you get on a roll and you do things for a while and I forgot about that one. I'll have to do that again. So one of my favorites in here, so she's got everything from main meals to breakfasts, drinks, desserts, and my very favorite dessert recipe or cake that I used to make for my birthday every year is in here. Anyway, I'll find it real quick, and then I'm not very good at going fast, am I? It is a flourless chocolate, there it is, espresso cake. It is so yummy, and it's awesome with like berries on top. Oh, so delicious. So I may have to make that on the channel with you guys. So that is a really good book, especially if you happen to be in Australia. Okay, these are in no order. I just grabbed them all. Lisa Bass, I have learned so much from this lady as far about sourdough, and also just home cooking and cooking from scratch and fermenting. She's got a lot about fermenting. She's probably most well known for her sourdough, and I just really wanted to support her, so I bought her book. I got it as for Christmas this past year because it hasn't been out that long, but she has fantastic recipes. And even though a lot of these recipes use what do you call it, just plain flour, like not whole grain flour, but you can easily convert them, and she talks quite a bit about how to do that. Most of them you can just convert 1 for 1. The ratio stays exactly the same, and she has everything in here from your staple breads that you want to bake every day for your family, all the way through to desserts and breakfasts and pancakes and yeah, all kinds of things. So it is excellent. It's a really good book. Actually, probably, I think this is what I'm about to show you. Other than that Joel Salatin one, this is the first book that was really a homesteading kind of book that I bought quite a few years ago in Australia. It's Jill Winger's The Prairie Homestead Cookbook. And I do love it. I've used a lot of recipes out of here. She has quite a bit of extra information, homesteading information. If you are a beginning homesteader, this has a lot of really good information. I think one of the things she does really well is take the basics that you might want. So she doesn't go into a lot of extra fluff and fancy recipes. It's just, okay, if you're baseline and you're trying to convert your kitchen to homemade, home-cooked meals, you can find the basics of just about everything you might want, from the meals themselves, how to piece out a chicken, how to make bread, basic yeast breads. She doesn't have sourdough in here, although she does tell you how to do a starter, how to get a starter going. But from that all the way, you know, mayonnaise, how to make your own mayonnaise, how to make your own vanilla essence, how to make a lot of your own condiments. Yeah, just, and helpful hints and tips about, I don't know, I think there's a page in there on shelling fresh eggs when you hard boil eggs, things like that. And there's some gardening and other homesteading things at the end. That's a really good book. These two books I am going to mention, they are not homesteading books, they are recipe books, and they are specific to their Trim Healthy Mama books, which that's a whole nother topic and conversation. I don't stick to the Trim Healthy Mama diet or way of eating specifically, but in the past there have been seasons where I have, and it's really helped at different times. But the recipes are excellent. They are, I've got these two, so that one and that one, and they have really good, healthy, home-cooked, everything made from scratch with whole food ingredients recipes. So I think you don't have to have like a homesteading book. It just, if you're wanting that kind of thing, you're wanting to learn how to cook from scratch, they're really good books. This one was a recent gift last year, the Home Preservation Complete Book of Home Preserving, the Ball one, and it is wonderful. As a person who just last year was beginning to teach myself how to can and preserve things in that method, I found this invaluable. And it's just, everything is there that I might need to ask or know. It's got tips and it's got guidelines, and for me, starting out, that's what I really wanted, was just something very clear, and I can go from there, you know, like I can look for other recipes, but I can always come back to this as a baseline and check what I'm doing. Okay, moving on. Now, quite a lot of these, I have a big stack of Joel Salatin books here which aren't in order. Let me try and put all those together. I'll do them in a different order. I was speaking yesterday, the book, I could not remember the name of it yesterday. The Independent Farmstead by Sean and Beth Doherty is a wonderful book, and they also have these little booklets which we have found really handy. Family Cow Basics, Milking for Beginners, and Working Chickens, the place of poultry on the inputs-free farmstead, which is something we are really working at creating. So they're just small, and they, I believe, sell them from their website, the One Cow Revolution. That is a good resource too. She has a blog. They have a blog on there with lots of articles and different information. Definitely a source I would trust. The Independent Farmstead goes through everything from setting up your farm to the inputs you might find necessary, grass, rotational grazing, different animals you can choose and why you might choose which ones, and yeah, tools. It's got a lot of information. It's really, really good. Someone mentioned Mother Earth News, which okay, this is my next little stash here. I am collecting periodicals, I guess, magazines that so there's Mother Earth News. I've got a few of those that have been given to me, and a lot of times people will take out a subscription and then they end up with a big stack and they don't want to keep it. And so I will always be the one to say, well, don't throw it away, throw it my way. Backwoods Home magazine. There's a few different ones, but these are the ones I have. Lots of really good information in the articles, very helpful. This one's called Grit, which I think is more, it says celebrating rural America since 1882. So that's a long time, but it does have a lot of recipes in it. And just interesting historical articles and things. So I keep a stack of them, and I consider that part of my homesteading library and a resource I can get information from. Okay, this one, I've got two books here, which are, I guess they're plans. So this was the first chicken tractor that we built. It's Stress-Free Chicken Tractor Plans by John Suskovich. We really like his design. Now, possibly you could design it yourself if you had building skills. You could look at the picture and figure it all out. But we couldn't do that. We needed some specifics. And this just has really easy to follow instructions, step by step. That was a good one. We also invested in Polyface Designs, which is Joel Salatin's book of designs. Everything on here from shade infrastructure to building a stanchion to building brooders and chicken tractors, and lots of different, it's very, very comprehensive. Like, you can see how big it is. It's quite heavy. And it wasn't cheap, but I think it's really worth the money. There's a ton of information, and it's the kind of thing that once you've got it, like, that is something we will refer to forever. And yeah, such a trusted resource. Okay, this is another one of the first things we ever invested in, Permaculture Chickens by Justin Rhodes, because we have been following Justin Rhodes since before he brought this out, and we were just getting into chickens. Of course, I grew up with backyard chickens, but it was something that for our family was a new venture, and also trying to do chickens, raise and have chickens using permaculture is a different thing again to just your random backyard chickens. So that was really helpful. This one is a favorite, Jackie French, who is an Australian author and friends of my family of origin, my friend of my grandfather, and I knew her family, didn't know her super close or anything, but she was a friend of the family that lived in the same area in the nearby valley to where our family farm had been for many, many generations. And she wrote this Backyard Self-Sufficiency. You may know, if you're an Aussie, you probably know Jackie French's name, not for gardening or Homesteading, but she's an author of a lot of Australian novels. She's done very well in her writing career, but this is a really good book. I learned a lot reading this, and if you are in the Southern Hemisphere, a lot of the information out there is very much geared to America, and it is, you know, it's just a different country. So things that apply here don't apply over there. And so I definitely think this is a really good resource if that is you. I just realized I don't have here. I'll have to go get it. The Rooted Life by Justin Rhodes. This is a beautiful book. Like, it is kind of like, it could be a coffee table book. It's just got beautiful pictures, as well as very inspiring and a lot of good information for a beginner homestead. So if you are starting out and you want something that's going to just keep it pretty simple, but also clear, easy to understand, and take you to the next step, I would say this is a really good book for that. So Justin Rhodes, The Rooted Life. When I was talking before about periodicals and magazines, an Australian one is Grassroots, which this one got a little bit torn up. It's the last copy I have. I am not 100% confident that this is still in publication. But if it isn't, look for old copies, because it's the same kind of idea. Kangaroos. The same idea as the Backwoods Home and Mother Earth News and those. Some really good information in there. This one is fantastic. Obviously, very much a classic. Introduction to Permaculture by Bill Mollison, also an Aussie. And if you are new to permaculture and trying to get your head around what that is and how that works, this is your book. You can find it. I found this in a secondhand bookstore, so you don't have to buy it brand new. I think it's pretty expensive actually to buy brand new, but look for it secondhand. Seed Savers Handbook. I think this may be Australian as well. Yes, it is. Bill Mollison and the editor of Grassroots have done the blurb on here. But I do know, and I was going to mention this as well. So this is Australian, but seed saving is seed saving. So it's going to have really good information no matter where you live, even if the varieties might be slightly different. But there is also, which isn't a physical book, but the School of Traditional Skills is brilliant. It's an online school. You can pay monthly or you can pay, I believe, yearly. When the school first started, we were still in Australia and we took out lifetime membership. And I can tell you, I am so grateful that we were in a position back then to do that, because I have used that and learned so much here, and we would not have been able to do that here. We've been on a much tighter budget here. So I'm so grateful that we did that back then when we had the ability to do it. So many different courses, from in the kitchen, food preparation and cooking, preserving, how to make your own bacon and break down an animal when you butcher, all the way through to animal husbandry, caring for pastures, herbal remedies. I've done a couple of their herbal courses on there. Beekeeping. I'm just trying to think, like, there is so many courses on there, and they are just a really high quality. You get a big you get the course itself, and then you get all the printouts that go with it, which and that's why I was mentioning it right now. They have a seed saving course on there, and I believe it's an American guy that's on there. I can't remember his name, but he's an older fellow that's up in the northeast and has been doing some amazing work with saving rare seeds and making sure that we have those for future generations. So yeah, School of Traditional Skills, not an actual physical book, but 100% a really amazing resource. Okay, then I have the rest of my Joel Salatin books, which The Marvelous Pigness of Pigs, which is not a how-to, but it's just such a good read, and it's so inspiring to me as a believer for why what we're doing really matters, and how we care for the earth and the way we steward it, and the food we eat, even how what we choose to put in our mouth really matters to the Lord, and it matters to our fellow man, and it matters to future generations, and it's not something that we should be flippant about. So really good book. You Can Farm, another one of his, and Polyface Micro. So this one is more, okay, you want to take this to the next level and turn your homestead into a farm, and he goes through step by step with info on that. This one is more at your homesteading level, and it's really, again, very, very practical, step by step. What are you going to do about chickens? What are you going to do about cows? What are you going to do about the garden? What are you know, how are you going to lay it all out? How are you going to plan it? What do you need to think about? What about fencing? Have you thought about fencing? This is really good, just to make sure that you have thought it all through, got all your ducks in a row, all your chicks in a row. So yeah, another really good book. Okay, and my last book is The First Time Homesteader, Jess from Roots and Refuge. I just love Jess. I have learned so much from this girl, especially in the garden. Like, she's like my garden mentor. I look her up and what would Jess do in this situation all the time? But this is a beautiful book for someone who is beginning with homesteading across it's just very simply laid out. It's clear, and it goes into just enough detail for someone who is starting without being overwhelming, but with being very practical and very helpful. So she's got chapter 1, making a plan, then yard birds, chapter 2, meat in the freezer, the home dairy, the homestead garden, keeping bees, resourceful living and natural remedies, and she rounds it out with homestead kitchen skills. And it's beautiful. It's beautifully done, beautiful pictures, but also just very helpful. And I think it can be overwhelming when you're beginning. You know, there's a lot of, it's almost like a catch-22, because there wasn't hardly any information. It was hard to find. Now there is a lot of information, and it's hard to sort through, you know, the good from the bad, and weed out the info that's not going to be helpful. So I think when you can have a trusted resource and someone that you know who has walked the miles to have the knowledge to give you the information, which is why I love people like Jess. It's why I love and trust Joel Salatin. I mean, he's been doing this for a very long time. The same with the Dohertys. They've been at this a long time. So these are the resources I jump to, that I pick up when I'm looking for answers to a specific question. I definitely also do jump online and find information there, but usually it's from one of these people. So I might look online, but I won't just randomly look something up. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to mention. I won't randomly look something up without being very careful to check the source. Now, and I mentioned School of Traditional Skills, another fantastic resource that we have used for a very long time and found very reliable is Justin Rhodes' platform called Abundance Plus. We did the same thing there. Thank the Lord he knew that we would need it. So back when we were in Australia, when that platform first came out, we took out a lifetime membership of that one. And you have a lot of video files on the platform that you can, like short courses and how-tos in different areas. But there's also a community on there, which there is actually as well on the School of Traditional Skills. There's a community on there as well. And Abundance Plus, though, has an app that is very user-friendly. I think there is an app with the School of Traditional Skills. I guess maybe it's still in the developmental stages and it's been a bit glitchy for me, but I have jumped on the Abundance Plus app many times with a question that I need a quick answer to, and I'm not, so for example, an animal question, animal husbandry. Maybe you've got a sick animal or something's going on with, you know, your poultry flock that you're like, oh, I don't know what's going on there. Something doesn't feel right. You can post pictures, you can ask questions and get information back from people who are on the same page, who are looking for holistic solutions, not sticking with the latest chemical solutions. So I found that really, really helpful. So anyway, there you have it. That has gone way longer than I intended, but that is my list of my favorite resources and most recommended books. Please though, let's all jump in the comments and share with one another, what are your favorite resources, your favorite books, whether it's in the garden, around the homestead, in the kitchen. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear about it. Thank you for watching, and please let me know what you think about it, and I will see you again really soon. Sunshine and raindrops, friends. Until then.